Времена, о которых мечтали наши отцы и деды. Мы свободно строим мечети, изучаем Коран, совершаем намаз. Поэтому в таком государстве на нас лежит священная обязанность.
The head of Chechnya, Ramzan Kadyrov, is sending Chechens to war against Ukraine. He managed to gather 84,000 men who, allegedly, will voluntarily join the Russian army. This was reported by the Center of National Resistance, citing its own sources. It is noted that Kadyrov is proud of the fact that he managed to avoid mobilization in the republic under his control and fulfill the Kremlin's tasks. Kadyrov plans to send 84,000 Chechens to the war against Ukraine. He claims that Chechnya has fulfilled all the tasks set by the Kremlin in order to avoid mobilization. That is, it was possible to attract this number of terrorists voluntarily, and that people should be grateful to him for this, it says. In the message, Russia began to actively involve representatives of various national minorities of the Russian Federation, including Chechens, in the war. The puppet regime will even more actively try to use every opportunity to send Chechens and representatives of other national minorities of the Russian Federation to the front, serving the schizophrenic ideas of Putin and his entourage, the opposition representatives noted. It will be recalled that Kadyrov admitted that he uses Ukrainian prisoners of war as human shields to cover strategic objects. An American citizen who secretly spied for Russia throughout the war in Ukraine, providing Russian forces with targeting information while possibly posing as an aid worker or volunteer, has given a press conference in Moscow explaining why he acted as he did. 34-year-old Daniel Martindale is said by Russian sources to have been in Ukraine since 11 February 2022 and proactively contacted Russian security forces when he arrived. He sent them the coordinates of Ukrainian military facilities, helping them to carry out airstrikes. He is said in particular to have played a key role in preparing the assault on the village of Bohoyavlenka, north of Vuhledar, in late October. The Russians captured the village on 27 October and were filmed raising their flag there. Martindale communicated using a phone delivered by a Russian drone. He was extracted from the war zone on 27 October 2024 and brought to Donetsk, where he was photographed alongside armed men, presumably the squad that carried out the extraction. Photos taken by Martindale and published by RIA Novosti suggest that he lived alongside Ukrainians, presumably in the Vuhledar area. He hasn't said what he was doing at the time, but it seems likely that he was working as an aid worker or in some kind of voluntary capacity. According to Martindale himself, "I was in Poland 2 years before the war. I was a missionary, and I followed the news in the Western media and realized that there was a high probability that a war would start in Ukraine. I had wanted to go to Russia for a long time, and I realized that this was the very moment I had been waiting for. After having crossed the border, I wanted to get to Donetsk. I realized that I needed to somehow coordinate my actions with the Russian side. I needed to understand where the front line was, where the Russian soldiers were located. I started tracking this through the news, watched various Telegram channels. I found a channel that belonged to the Donetsk People's Republic Territorial Defense Unit. There was a bot there. I maintained contacts with the Russian side mainly through Telegram. I received messages through this bot. He says he was motivated to save the lives of Russian soldiers and to ensure some kind of future for Russians in Ukraine. I was able to get a different point of view, not just the information that is broadcast by Western media. Martindale believes that this is a war in which one side is fighting for justice and the other side is interested in promoting its financial interests and is not interested in the well-being of its citizens. He claims that many Ukrainians are waiting for liberation by the Russian army. We need to hide our sympathy for Russia. We need to hide our true intentions. That is, we need to wait, bide our time, hide the fact that we are not at all patriotic towards the Kiev regime. You could see how people live with this, and I myself lived with this, and also had to hide my thoughts." He calls for Ukraine to be defeated and disarmed, and its government put on trial, either under Russian law or in accordance with international law, as German war criminals were tried for killing Poles and Jews. Martindale's VK page says that he was born in 1991, studied at a private university in the U.S. state of Indiana, and knows Russian, Polish, and Chinese. He appears to have traveled to Vladivostok for a sports competition in 2018 and lived in Poland in 2020. He states that he is a libertarian and is clearly religious, stating his support for the Free Christian Church of the Polish town of Palowace. After the war, Martindale wants to be a farmer in Russia. He says that he wants to get a Russian passport and won't go back to the U.S. Do I want to go back to the U.S.? Number I'm telling you for sure, as far as I understand. Since 2005, I consider the U.S. my enemy. Another billionaire from the Forbes list has sold all assets in Russia. Billionaire Roman Avdeev, ranked 108th in Forbes' Russian ranking with a fortune of $1.2 billion, has announced the sale of the last asset he owns in Russia. Rossium Concern was founded by Avdeev in 2006. It is an investment holding with major investments in the financial sector. Its key asset is the Credit Bank of Moscow. Earlier, at least 7 billionaires renounced their Russian citizenship. Among them, Vasily Anisimov, former owner of Koalko and Bolshoye Domodedovo companies, fortune of $1.6 billion, Timur Turlov, founder and majority shareholder of Freedom Holding, $2.4 billion, Ruben Vardanyan, founder of Troika Dialogue Investment Company, $1.3 billion, Yuri Milner, founder of DST Global Investment Company, $7.3 billion, and Yuri Milner, founder of revolving company DST Global, $7.3 billion, founder of Revolut company Nikolai Storonsky, $7.1 billion, founder of energy company Areti Igor Makarov, $2.2 billion, and founder of Tinkoff Group Oleg Tinkov, $0.86 billion, estimated after the sale of Tinkoff Bank. Ukraine has developed a prosthesis that controls drones with the power of thought. The new MAR-S prosthesis control system uses special sensors and artificial intelligence to recognize muscle movements. The prosthesis can literally understand the user's intentions. This approach makes prosthesis control more natural, and in the future, opens up new opportunities for controlling technologies such as drones. The user will be able to control the drone by changing the position of the prosthesis in space and tensing different muscles. The principle is similar to a computer mouse. The hand movement controls the direction and angle of the drone, and muscle tension controls functions such as pressing buttons. Esper Bionics is already testing a prototype, and next year, they plan to produce a version for the market.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.